were the steps for the unification? Well, the states that joined Sardinia that I already mentioned also had the same characteristic, that they were in the central part of Italy and in the northern section. But what happened in the south? The south of Italy was dominated by the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies. The Kingdom of the Two Sicilies were dominated or had as the king Francis II. Francis II was a very unpopular king in the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies. He was thoroughly hated by his Italian subjects because he responded to the Austrians. So it was time to overthrow Francis II in order to unify Italy, because Italy was unified in the north, but the problem was in the south. It happened the same in Prussia. Do you remember? The southern states were the last ones in incorporating to the unification of Germany. In this case, it was practically the same, but the method was completely different. Here is when Giuseppe Garibaldi started to appear as the very important man to win, that is to say, the battles in the south of Italy against Francis II and the Austrians for the unification of Italy from the south. Giuseppe Garibaldi and the 1,000 Red Shirts, it was the name of his army. So Giuseppe Garibaldi, as I told you, with the Red Shirts, in a period of 3 months, conquered the island of Sicily and marched to Naples, where the people were already in revolt, so it was easier for him. By November, the whole kingdom of Francis II had fallen into the hands of Giuseppe Garibaldi. So Garibaldi realized that he was very powerful at that time. So he started to think, do I make the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies an independent country under my leadership? But remember, the Italians were more interested in the greatness of the nation rather than in democracy or individual power. That is to say, Garibaldi at first apparently intended to convert the territory into an independent republic, but he was finally persuaded to surrender it to the Kingdom of Sardinia. So all of a sudden, Sardinia had taken the north, the center, and the south, but there were some territories that still had not been incorporated to Italy. So when this Kingdom of the Two Sicilies was given, or was surrendered, or was offered to Sardinia, the peninsula, the Italian peninsula, was united under a single ruler. Victor Emmanuel II, the King of Sardinia, assumed the title of King of Italy. This happened on March 17, 1861. So that is the first date, or the first year of the unification of Italy. Almost all Italy was unified under a single king, who was Victor Emmanuel II, and obviously Camillo di Cavour as the prime minister. But there were, as I told you, some territories which still did not belong to Italy. Yeah, that was the first unification, as I told you. So, which were the final steps for the unification? The Austrian-Prussian War. Do you remember the Austrian-Prussian War? Do you remember that Otto von Bismarck wanted to play the role of victim when he didn't give the territories of Schleswig and Holstein to Austria in the process of unification of Germany? And that is why, well, he made a secret arrangement with the Kingdom of Sardinia. He defeated the Austrians, and Venetia was recovered by Sardinia. So Venetia was incorporated to this process of unification in Italy. Well, now the Franco-Prussian War. Why is it important with our friend Louis Napoleon Bonaparte? The only step that was not achieved was the incorporation of Rome, that is to say, the capital of Italy. The capital of Italy had not been annexed yet. The city had resisted the conquest far largely because of the military protection accorded to the Pope by Napoleon III. Napoleon III had made an arrangement with the Pope, and he gave the Pope security, protection, and he had some rights and some important prerogatives in that papal states. So the papal states belonged to the Pope, but were protected by Napoleon III. Where were these states? In Rome, which is the capital of Italy. So why did the Franco-Prussian War play an important role in this aspect? When the Franco-Prussian War started and Otto von Bismarck began to defeat Napoleon troops, the troops that Napoleon III had in Rome had to go to France. So Rome was unprotected. And when Rome was unprotected, Giuseppe Garibaldi, who came from the south, took that opportunity to conquer Rome and to incorporate Rome for the final process of unification in Italy. But there was still another problem in Italy. The problem was the papal states. The occupation of Rome brought the Kingdom of Italy into conflict with the papacy. Why? Because the whole movement, remember liberalism, the young liberals, for the unification of Italy, had been characterized by opposition to the church. So there were most of the Catholics were not so glad, and the clergy, of course, were completely unhappy because of this process of unification, which was carried out by these young liberals. As Garibaldi was completely decided to unify Italy, as another of these states was annexed, monasteries were gradually closed, and much of the property which belonged to the church was confiscated and given to the poor. So the papacy was not happy at all. The problem was solved by the Italian Parliament in 1871. They enacted the law of papal guarantees, giving the Pope the title of the sovereign in the Vatican. So he was to be granted full authority over the Vatican, and it is even nowadays that the Vatican, which is in Rome, is an independent state. Besides, it was decided that the government of Italy, the new government, had to pay an annual indemnity of about $645,000, annually. That is to say, this amount of money was to be given to the papacy. The Pope was Pius IX in 1870 and obviously in 1871, but he denounced these issues because they affected the Pope and the papacy, and he decided to, to be in the Vatican. He was quarantined in that territory. He didn't have any relationship with the government, and this finished with Mussolini in 1945 with Pius XI, that finally went out from that lockdown, from that quarantine, and appeared again, and the papacy regained, the power the papacy had. But the Vatican is the only territory that could not be annexed to Italy. In fact, the Vatican and the Pope are so powerful that they are independent state. They are an independent state in a unified country as Italy. So Italy, remember, was unified in 1871. Finally, in 1870, sorry, finally. Before, it had been unified with some territories in 1861 when the king was Victor Emmanuel II and the prime minister was Camilo di Cavour. The term of Cavour in the government was just 6 months. Then in 1870, the final unification, there was another prime minister. Well, this was the unification, the process for unification of Italy. See you next class.